welcome back, folks, to hashtag AskJSM, the weekly Monday mailbag video where I answer your questions from Facebook and Twitter right here in this video form. A lot of great questions this week. It might be a very long video. Just kind of pre-warn you. There's a lot of awesome questions. I think the most questions we've ever gotten a hashtag AskJSM video. But nevertheless, every single question on here is great. Thank you again to everyone for sending in questions. And without further ado, let's get right down to it. The Facebook questions first. First from Victor T. Asked me two questions. First one was, if you had the ability to create a t-shirt for the WWE, what would it look like? I'm not a fashion guy, so I can't honestly tell you. I'm a huge t-shirt guy. I have probably at least a dozen t-shirts for CM Punk, Christian, The Ultimate Warrior, Ryback, Zack Ryder, almost every one of my favorite superstars. There's really no shirts that come to mind, any design specifically that I would make. I don't know, that's a good question, but I can't really tell you. Something not dumb, like for a while they were coming out, for a long period of time there was a stretch where they were coming out with dumb merchandise for Daniel Bryan with like the bearded baseball cap, other stupid shit like that. So, and I'm glad they're not doing that all that much. Like the new Daniel Bryan Yes shirt, that's a cool shirt. I love CM Punk's gray shirt, the best in the world one that he had a couple years ago. That one was awesome in my opinion. No specific t-shirt comes to mind, like a design that I would make for a shirt. Maybe something a little cooler for the Shield. If they had a nicer t-shirt, then I would buy it. Right now, not so. But yeah, nothing really comes to mind. So sorry about your question. But your second question, though, I can answer. His question was, out of every theme song that Wade Barrett has had, which is your favorite? Hands down, the Nexus one, We Are One by 12 Stones. Amazing theme song. I love that theme song. Every single time they came out to it was fantastic. Love the Nexus in general, but their theme song was perfect. Fit perfectly with the Nexus. It fit perfectly with what they were doing. Amazing song. The next one that he used after that, because when he was with the Core, he had like 12 different versions of that one theme song. And the last one that he had when he was on his own, that was a good theme. I liked that. A lot of people didn't like it, but I thought it was good. The other themes that he had when he in like 2012, like the I Don't Care Anymore, the first version of that was garbage. The second version was a little bit better. I thought that one was good. So I was pissed when he changed it last year to the one that he has now. The intro is sick. I'll say that much. The intro is amazing. The God Save the Queen one. The rest of it is good. I mean, it's catchy and the boom in it. It fits well to his character, I guess. But the fact, I mean, not every theme song needs to have lyrics, but I think it'd be cooler if it had lyrics, in my opinion. But I think my favorite out of every theme song that Wade Barrett has had, the first one, We Are One by 12 Stones with the Nexus, was amazing. By far my favorite. Paul S. had a very, very good question. A little lengthy, but here we go. At WrestleMania 20, after winning the World Heavyweight Championship, Jim Ross acknowledged Chris Benoit's title win after an 18-year odyssey. However, before Chris Benoit jumped to the WWE/WWF, I saw a WCW match, Sold Out 2000, where he had defeated Sid Justice for the WCW World Heavyweight title. My question is, how come Jim Ross said that Benoit had to overcome an 18-year drought for a heavyweight title when in fact he had just won it at WCW before debuting at the WWF WWE a few weeks later? Or a few years later, I think was what he meant. That's a very good question. I think it's more so because of the fact that the end of WCW's title run, or just the end of the tenure, the company's tenure, whoever was holding the championship did not really matter at all. I know Booker T's a 5-time WCW champion. They acknowledge that like crazy. But, I mean, they gave the fucking belt to everyone. They gave it to fucking Jeff Jarrett. They gave it to maybe the Steiner brothers, maybe Scott Steiner. I'm not exactly sure. Like I said, Booker T 5 times. They gave it to fucking Vince Russo. Not Vince Russo. What's his name? That guy. His name is not coming to mind right now. That guy that... What's his fucking name? The guy that was in the movie Ready to Rumble. I brain fart right now. But that guy held the WCW title. What the fuck is his name? It's gonna bother me for the rest of this video unless I can't figure it out. David something, right? Son of a bitch. What was his name? I can't really remember right now. I know I'm gonna remember as soon as the video goes off the air. You can leave a comment down below. I know what it is. I just can't think of it at the moment. But nevertheless, he held the WCW championship and he was only a WCW star. He was only a movie star. So there's that. And I mean, so everyone was holding the championship. I don't even know. Chris Benoit's championship win, his world title win in WCW is not fondly remembered of. A lot of people only remember his WrestleMania win at WrestleMania 24. And, you know, I'm just going to look this up right now as I'm filming this video to look up who won this fucking title, because which movie star was it? Because it's going to bother me for the rest of this video. Son of a bitch. I know it was David something. David... What was his name? Son of a bitch. Oh my god. David Arquette. There we go. David Arquette. I don't know how I forgot that. I knew it was David something. But yeah, he held the WCW Championship. Not a lot of people really remember Benoit's title win in WCW. I know it was there and it counts for something, I guess. But at the end of the company's run, the title didn't mean jack shit. Everyone held it at that point. The company was in the shitter. So maybe that's probably why. And the world title in WWE's eyes is what is legitimate. Anything that, like even at WrestleMania 19, I think I remember watching when they were talking about how Booker T had won the WCW title, but he had never won a world title in WWE. And not JR, maybe it was, I think it was both of them actually, Lawler and JR, that were saying that his title wins in WCW were not legitimate because they weren't in WWE. So that's what WWE thinks of WCW's title wins. Now going on to the next question, Andre G. Since Brock Lesnar ended the streak, who should beat Brock Lesnar? Two names come to mind. You either have Daniel Bryan beat Brock Lesnar, and I don't think I'd lean more towards Brock Lesnar winning that matchup and winning the championship. But if Brock Lesnar only has limited dates, then he can't really win the title and appear on Raw, and I know he won't. Some people will they'll make an exception. No, he won't. They won't make an exception. He just won't appear on Raw, much like The Rock wasn't when he was champion. If they're gonna give Brock Lesnar the title, they either do it at I wouldn't even say Survivor Series because that is like a long stretch of time if he's going to drop it at WrestleMania. That's like 4 or 5 months when he's not on television consistently. And I know they wouldn't make an exception even though he's the champion. He wouldn't be at house shows or anything like that. I would give him the championship at Royal Rumble, but I would probably have him beat Daniel Bryan for the title. And then I would have him lose at WrestleMania 31 after having not been beaten at all in 2 years since WrestleMania 29 at the hands of Triple H. Personally, I would have Cesaro beat him. I know that's a little more likely than Daniel Bryan, but not by much, and like in terms of size and whatever. But Cesaro is scary strong, is being pushed to the moon right now. Daniel Bryan, I mean, Punk was small too, but I don't know. I could see that more of as a matchup. Daniel Bryan is just too small for Brock Lesnar. I can't really buy into the fact that he could beat him. So I would have him beat Daniel Bryan for the title, and then have him lose to Cesaro at WrestleMania, battle the Paul Heyman guys for the World Championship, give Cesaro his big moment at WrestleMania. I would love to see that, so I would have to go with Cesaro on that one. Andrew B., his question was, are there any good books on kayfabe? I don't know exactly what you mean by that. I mean, there are some good books out there. I don't know about on kayfabe, probably like Pro Wrestling 101, if that's what you mean. I can't really tell you. But in terms of books you should read, kayfabe or not, Batista's book was great. Both of Jericho's books, all of Foley's books were great. Ted DiBiase's The $1 Million Man's. I've read a bunch of Rey Mysterio's was very, very good. Goldust was great. George Steele, The Rise and Fall of ECW, and The Rise and Fall of WCW, or The Death of WCW. All great books. Go check them out. They're great reading. Even if you don't like to read, and I like to read, but I mean, even if you don't like to read, you will very much enjoy these books. Zach M., his question was, is this Wade Barrett's last chance to get into the main event with his current gimmick? I wouldn't say his last chance because he's had so many failed runs with gimmicks, and it's not his fault at all. It's just either the injuries or bad timing or just creative booking of him. I mean, remember last year when he came back with that brawler gimmick, I thought it was great. It was a great gimmick. He was going to get over. He was being booked well. It was realistic to who he is. And then they just had him fucking lose every match he was involved in going into 2013, and he failed as IC champion. So hopefully that isn't the case with Bad News Barrett. And it's funny because Bad News Barrett, out of every character thing that he's had, after every persona that he's undergone, every gimmick change that he's undergone in the last 2 or 3 years, even 4 years ago, dating back to 2010, this one I think is, I don't want to say the dumbest because it's getting over, but I mean, Bad News Barrett I don't see as a world title gimmick, but it's getting over. I mean, he's got a lot of momentum right now since coming back to the ring after WrestleMania, so I think it's going to be one of his last chances. They don't have much time with him. I mean, they've wasted so much time booking him like shit to begin with. I don't know how old he is. I think he's like in his early 30s, maybe mid-30s. I'm not exactly sure. I'm not positively sure. But even so, I think this is one of his last chances. If they're going to put the title on him, it has to be with this gimmick. I mean, maybe not Bad News. Maybe they'll go back to Wade Barrett. I don't know. But right now, he's getting over with the Bad News gimmick. And I think he could win a world championship, to be quite honest with you. I think he's deserving of it. He's capable of being a world champion. So I think right now is the time, not like in the next few months, but at some point with this gimmick if they keep on booking him on the right path. Jared J, his question was, which WWE star do you think could use a run on the indies to work on their skills? Very good question. I was looking through the main roster and no one really stood out to me as like this person needs more work, though they need to go back to the indies and then come back. If anyone, he's not under contract to WWE anymore, but Mason Ryan, I think, was definitely deserving of more time on the indies before he made it to WWE because he was not good in the ring at all. He improved from like 2011 to now to 3 years from now. He had a very good match with Tyson Kidd, and one can arguably say that Tyson Kidd carried him through that matchup, but he did improve slightly, I'll say that much. But he definitely needed more time on the indies. I know he's taking bookings now on the indies, so that's good. I don't know if he'll ever make it back to WWE, but that's good. He's going to be in the indies. I don't know about Charlotte, Ric Flair's daughter. I don't know if she had I don't know if she had any indie experience, but she's one that also needs some more experience before she can get pushed. I mean, she's on the verge of becoming NXT Women's Champion right now, and that's not a spoiler. I don't read spoilers. I'm just speculating here. So I think she might have need more work. I mean, she's come along nicely in the last year or so since when she first debuted, but she's not all that great either, and I'm kind of worried about the NXT Women's Division being built around her as champion. That is indeed what happens. We'll have to wait and see, but she's probably another one too. But on the main roster, I couldn't really think of anyone. But good question though. Brian P, his question was, with Batista apparently being upset with the company, if he leaves, who could you see taking his place in Evolution? So let's set the record straight right now with Batista. I read dirt sheets, but I don't believe everything I read in the dirt sheets. I'm not saying this isn't true, but I just take it with a grain of salt that Batista is mad at the WWE. I don't at all think he's mad at Daniel Bryan. He's done so much for Daniel Bryan. He tapped out clean to the guy in the main event of fucking WrestleMania, so he's definitely not. He doesn't have anything against Daniel Bryan or his size or him being world champion. That's bullshit. He might be mad at the company. I don't see him leaving. I mean, there were reports dating back to a few weeks ago that he's leaving, he's done, he's pissed, he's not going to be a payback, and everyone is wrong because he looks like he's sticking back through payback. He's sticking through payback until, for the Shield Evolution matchup, or what it looks like. I mean, it's not confirmed yet, but it looks like we're getting Shield Evolution 2 at payback, so it doesn't look like he's leaving before payback, and he wouldn't turn down a fucking title match. I don't know, I thought that was bullshit. I didn't believe that. I don't know why he would turn down a title match and then stick around anyway for that match. That didn't make much sense. And if it might be true, I don't know. I mean, I just like to go by fact. If there's no facts and just people speculating, I gave up all hope in the dirt sheets, and I probably should have a long time ago. But I really gave up the hope in dirt sheets being right when they speculated the CM Punk being back in March 3rd in Chicago. They guaranteed that he would be back. I didn't think he'd be back. I said it right here in the video series, like the day of. But people were speculating that he'd be back, and he wasn't. They were fucking wrong, and that's bullshit. So I don't go by what the dirt sheets say anymore. So anyway, going back to your question, if he does leave, should anyone replace him in Evolution? No, because I don't think Evolution was ever a long-term thing to begin with. I think it's only temporary to do the feud with the Shield. I love the Shield, but I also love Evolution, and I don't really think they need to stick around for longer than a few months. It's not really necessary. All three are top guys. Triple H or even Batista can go for the World Championship against Daniel Bryan within the next few months. So, but if they had to replace Batista with someone in Evolution, there have been rumors of Sheamus, and I just can't see that fitting. I mean, it would make sense because he's kind of a corporate guy. I know he's friends with Triple H, and then Sheamus denied that. Like I said, whatever. That's what the dirt sheets were reporting a couple of years ago. But anyway, Sheamus, I guess, would make somewhat sense. I just can't see him fitting into a suit, and I can't really see the image of Sheamus in Evolution. But even still, though, I could see Sheamus. There's really no one else. Some people have said Cody Rhodes or Dolph Ziggler. I don't even want to see Evolution continue on without its original members. If you're not going to have Batista in there, then there's really no point continuing it with Triple H, Orton, and a Cody Rhodes or something. Yeah, Cody Rhodes, I guess, would make more sense than Sheamus, but Sheamus, I desperately want to turn heel. You have him join the Authority. It doesn't have to be Evolution. There's kind of a difference. Kind of. I don't really know. But Sheamus, I guess, would come to mind. Dolph Ziggler and Rhodes, maybe, I guess. But personally, I don't even want to see Evolution continue if Batista isn't going to be around for it. I only saw it as a temporary thing to begin with. So going on to the Twitter questions. First off, with JJF Tweets, he asks, who was the most mishandled WWE or World Champion in history? By far, the first name that comes to mind was Jack Swagger. I mean, he was mishandled even before he won the championship, but he was booked so fucking terribly as World Champion, it was a joke. Some people would say the Miz. I don't really go by the Miz. I think his run. I thought his run was solid. I think it was that bad. It could have been better, but his run really wasn't all that bad in my opinion. CM Punk wasn't mishandled, but he could have been in the main event a bit more when he was holding the championship for the first 3/4 of his run. I'm trying to think of other world champions. I mean, you're talking about WWE. I would say like Chris Sabin or even Magnus in TNA. But if you're talking WWE or world heavyweight in WWE, Khali should have never really held the championship to begin with. I'm trying to think of all the world and WWE champions we've had in recent years. Sheamus wasn't booked like anything good when he was WWE champion. World heavyweight was better, but as WWE champion, he was booked like shit too. He lost. He was winning his matches by DQ and shit after being built up as a monster in late '09. So his reigns were garbage. So I would have to go with Sheamus and Jack Swagger for right now. Those are the only names that come to mind in recent years. There's probably been a lot more, but those are the first two names that come to my mind. His second question was, what keeps holding Cody Rhodes back from reaching the main event? He's had the skills for years, yet gets stuck in tag teams. I think the closest that Cody Rhodes has ever come to the main event scene was when he was the Intercontinental Champion for the first time. He had the mask on, and I hated the mask. It was so fucking annoying after the Rey Mysterio feud. It really had no purpose in him wearing it. I mean, he got more heat from wearing it and doing the dark persona that he had. But even after when he took off the mask and he had knee pads and he was wearing the championship and he just got a new theme, he was completely repackaged. He looked like a world champion. He still does to this day to me, and I still think he can be a world champion. Some people might disagree. But the chances of him winning a world championship are now a lot less likely with one world champion out there. Same thing with Dolph Ziggler, with Wade Barrett. The chances are a lot less likely that they might win that championship because there's only one of them now. That being said, though, I mean, he's good in the tag teams. I've loved his tag team with Goldust, with Damian Sandow, Ted DiBiase. He's been ready for years now, like you said, but dating back to like 2011, in my opinion. But after this feud with Goldust, I mean, they haven't really been booking him properly as well as Goldust in recent months, so I don't know if they would push him in the main event after that. I would love to see him win Money in the Bank this year, maybe fifth time's a charm this year in June here in Boston. So I would love to see him win the Money in the Bank, go on to win the championship. I mean, Damian Sandow won the briefcase too last year, and he was booked like shit, and now he's turned to garbage too. So I wouldn't be positive that he'd cash in successfully, but I would just have him win Money in the Bank. I don't know. That's a very good question. I can't exactly tell you why he's been consistently put in tag teams. I mean, he's not a tag team guy for life, I would say. I wouldn't say that at all. But I don't know. I've said this for a while now, but he's so young. I think he's like 29 years old. Might be turning. I think he will be turning 29 this year or 30 or whatever. But he's still pretty young. They have a long time until he's really worn out. So they have a lot of time for him to become world champion. But they really shouldn't wait until the last minute. Sooner the better, in my opinion. I think he's ready. So hopefully this year, if not this year, then next year if he wins Money in the Bank, in my opinion. Le June 250. If I mispronounced it, I apologize. Your question was, who do you think that would be at the top of ECW and WCW if it were still alive? Would be at the top of WWE, you mean? The landscape would be entirely different. I mean, we wouldn't have all this group of talent in WWE. It'd probably be spread over the course of ECW and WCW. You mean if we saw the Monday Night Wars? If that's what you mean? I don't know. I mean, John Cena, I don't know. It's not the 90s anymore. The times are different. The times are a-changing, so I can't really say that John Cena wouldn't be at the top. It's really hard to say. I don't think guys with like Stone Cold and The Rock would still be here wrestling. But that's a good question. I can't really tell you. I mean, I would just speculate John Cena, but it would be so entirely different. I mean, the landscape of the wrestling business would be immensely different from what it is right now. So the chances of it being John Cena are slim, so I can't really tell you. But that's a good question, though. It's really something to think about. At Ambrose 311, his question was, with the new revived tag team division in WWE, do you think they should redesign the tag team titles to look prestigious? Absolutely. I think it's a great question, or a great idea rather, a great question too. But yeah, the current tag team championships looks like pennies. They've had that design for a couple of years now. Not the greatest design they've had. I love the World Tag Team title belts, the red ones that they had in the Raw brand a couple of years ago. Even the blue ones over on SmackDown were pretty good. The ones they have now are just stupid in my opinion. They're not terrible, but they look like pennies or bronze. They look second or third tier to the current titles that we have. The WWE one, even the IC title looks better than the tag team title. So yeah, I definitely think we should get new tag team title belts. How likely that is, I don't think it's likely at all because we got new title belts a couple of years ago, only in like 4 years ago in 2010. But it would be cool though, and I think it would fit with the new revived tag team division. At the only one KYD, his question was, predict this year's WrestleMania main event title match. Who is champ, who is challenger, and who walks out as champion? Personally, there's only two matches. I can't really say who will it be or who should it be. If only because had you told me a year ago that Daniel Bryan would be in the main event of WrestleMania 30 with Batista, who I didn't think was coming back at all, and Randy Orton, I would have punched you in the face because I didn't see that happening at all. That completely took me by surprise, especially given that a year ago Daniel Bryan was still on Team Hell No. So him main eventing WrestleMania was completely unfathomable. It wasn't a fathomable idea at all. So that was not a possibility in the slightest about a year ago. So anything can change in the matter of a year is basically what I'm saying. So it could be anyone from Cody Rhodes to Dolph Ziggler. It could be anyone. Two matches I would like to see in the main event of WrestleMania would be Brock Lesnar versus Cesaro. Like I said before, with Brock Lesnar as champion, Cesaro as challenger. Maybe you have him win the Rumble. I don't know. And then you have him win the championship. And then from a selfish standpoint, I would love to see Daniel Bryan versus CM Punk. I mean, it wouldn't make sense to have Daniel Bryan or to have CM Punk come back, win the Rumble. It would be very hypocritical of him to do so because he's saying that he doesn't like part timers, and whether that's true or not is debatable. I mean, it's all speculation right now, but to have him leave for a year and then come back and win the Rumble might not be the best way to please the fans. I mean, people would love it, but I mean, realistically, I mean, this guy's been gone for a year. What makes him deserve this Royal Rumble spot over people that have been working their asses off for the last year? But selfishly, I would have Punk win the Rumble, have him come back win the Rumble, and then challenge Daniel Bryan for the title on the main event of WrestleMania. Daniel Bryan wins. CM Punk kind of passes the torch, so to speak. So that's one match that I would love to see at WrestleMania. I wanted to see that WrestleMania match. I wanted to see Punk versus Daniel Bryan at WrestleMania for a number of years now. So that's one match I would love to see in the main event of WrestleMania 31. So Punk and Bryan or Cesaro and Lesnar are my two picks. That's not what I think will happen, just what I think my personal dream matches for WrestleMania. Next question comes from at Cody Collier 12. His question was, do you think Breaking Point and Fatal 4-Way are underrated pay-per-views, and which one was your favorite between the two? I don't think they were really necessarily underrated. Fatal 4-Way sucked, in my opinion. That was not a great pay-per-view at all. The concept of having Fatal 4-Way matches was just kind of dumb, because it's not like it's a Hell in a Cell pay-per-view or TLC. I mean, those pay-per-views are dumb too, and they shouldn't be happening either. But the fact that, I don't know, a Fatal 4-Way pay-per-view was kind of dumb to begin with. So, no, I don't think that pay-per-view was underrated at all. I mean, every June pay-per-view dating back to like 08 or 09 was pretty terrible, with the exception of last year's Payback, which I thought was great. So, that being said, though, Breaking Point, I don't think it was necessarily underrated, but it was a good show, though. Punk versus Taker was not the best matchup. The finish was kind of a clusterfuck. That's probably what people remember. That's probably what people remember most from that pay-per-view. But also on that show we had DX versus Legacy in the Submissions Count Anywhere match, which I thought was great. We also had Cena versus Orton, another very good matchup. Regal Christian was another good match for the ECW title. Kane Khali in a Singapore Kane matchup. That match kind of speaks for itself. I mean, I shouldn't even explain how bad that matchup was. But I don't think it was underrated, but it was a good show, though. I think better than people probably remember it as. At the Innovator, Innovator, Andre, of course. I can never pronounce your Twitter handle. His question was, do you feel Antonio Thomas should get another shot at the big time in WWE or TNA? So this is a question that only basically him and I would know, because we both regularly attend New England Championship Wrestling up here in the Beverly area of Massachusetts. Other people probably know who Antonio Thomas is too. I've had him on my show before. He worked in WWE as part of the Heartthrobs about 10 years ago. If you haven't been exposed to his work in the last few years and whatnot here on the Indies, you're missing out. This guy's tremendous. I don't think if he was to be signed by WWE, they would treat him right. They didn't do it the first time. I don't think they would treat him right again if he was to go back to WWE. TNA didn't really give him much of a chance because I know he was there. He was in the tag team with his heartthrob partner, Romeo Roselli, but they only used him for like a 1 or 2 off match, and that was basically it. I think with the New Age Outlaws. But yeah, I could see him there in TNA. I mean, TNA's kind of going down the drain anyway. But I mean, if he's going to have a shot in any company like the Wolves, I think they could have a shot. I think he could have a shot in TNA, and fully expressing how great of a wrestler he is. Very old school wrestler. Love what he does. I mean, Andre would know what I'm talking about, but I went to an NECW show a couple of days ago, and he had a match. I think what his name was Jay Freddy. Tremendous match. They had their Iron 8 tournament that night. It was a one of the qualifying matches for the Fatal 4-Way 45-minute Iron Man matchup that took place in the main event. This matchup between Jay Freddy and Antonio Thomas, match of the night, hands down. Terrific stuff. Got a few videos of it up on my Tout channel, so go check it out. Who uses Tout anymore, but you know what I mean. Even still, though, he's a tremendous wrestler. I would love to see him back in TNA. I don't think WWE would treat him right, but TNA definitely. I would love to see him in TNA. He's a great wrestler, like I said before. If you're not exposed to his work in recent years, go check it out. Terrific wrestler. Next question comes from @TheAverageBrunt. What are your thoughts on the Iron Man match? I personally don't see the point in it when there's the 2 out of 3 falls match. Good point. I like the Iron Man matchup, and it's funny that you asked that because, like I said, at the NECW show that I went to a couple days ago, I sat through a Fatal 4-Way Iron Man matchup. Fatal 4-Way 45-minute Iron Man match. And it did drag in points, but the key to an Iron Man matchup is that you have the right guys competing in it. If they have good chemistry, if they have the chemistry, and they can go for 45 minutes to an hour, then that's a great matchup. If they can keep it consistently entertaining, like I saw at the NECW show a couple days ago, then it's fine. But if they can't, then no. The 2 out of 3 falls match is a little different because in an Iron Man matchup, there's so many pinfalls and submissions. It goes past 2 and 3 falls. I mean, the 2 out of 3 falls is also a great matchup. I said this in either last week's video or the week before. That was also an underrated matchup that I don't think gets the credit it deserves. It's always entertaining. But Iron Man matches are just much more rare. They feel like they're more, they can settle feuds and whatnot because they've been used for blockbuster feuds in the past, like Triple H and The Rock, John Cena and Randy Orton, Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart, of course, at WrestleMania 12. So I think Iron Man matches are looked at as much of a much bigger matchup because they go longer than usually than 2 out of 3 count falls. But I can see what you're getting at there, but the 2 matches kind of differ in that sense. At the heel Brianna, her question was, do you think that the WWE will push Dolph Ziggler how they pushed D-Bry with a slow build, or just not push him at all? Daniel Bryan, I don't think they were, I'm not going to say from the start they were keen on pushing him. I think he just kind of had overcome obstacles and gotten over in spite of the WWE. But right now, they're not doing that with Dolph Ziggler at all. Right now, Dolph Ziggler, I can't officially say if he's in the doghouse or not, but it definitely seems like he has been since he came back from the concussion. He dropped the world title. I'm thinking, okay, he'll win it back in a couple months. Never did. Hasn't done anything since. He's been completely wasted along with Damian Sandow, 2 of the biggest underutilized talents in WWE today. It's just ridiculous how they're booking Dolph Ziggler right now. This guy isn't even on Raw most fucking weeks. It's ridiculous. But even still, though, I don't think they're trying to give him a slow build. They just don't care about Dolph Ziggler. He got fucking eliminated from the Battle Royal by fucking Santino Marella a couple days ago. So that kind of shows what they think of Dolph Ziggler right now. I don't think they're keen on pushing Ziggler at all. I'm not saying that's the right move. I love Ziggler, and I think he is deserving of a push. But right now, I don't think they're pushing with a slow build at all. Right now, they just don't know how to use him, and they don't really care. At Ethan Loves WWE, his question was, how long do you think the Evolution versus Shield feud should last, and how would you book the end of the feud? I think it should probably last, I mean, going to Payback is fine, because their matchup at Extreme Rules is so great that I'm fine with it lasting another few weeks until Payback. Stretching it on to Money in the Bank might be stretching it a little bit. You know, keeping it going until then might be a little long. It's hard to say. I mean, it's only, that's another 4 weeks. That's another 4 Raw. So I don't really know how long you can keep the 6-man tag team feud going between the 2 teams. I'd be fine with it because their matches are so great. Their match at Extreme Rules was amazing. So I'm fine with the rematch, but maybe a rubber match at Money in the Bank. But aside from that, and some people are saying maybe they'll stretch out the feud until Battleground in July. I don't see that as a possibility at all. I don't think War Games is ever coming back. Honestly, I would love to see it. It'd be cool, especially since I've never seen one before in WWE. No one has in WWE, that is. But even as a fan, I've never seen one. But that being said, though, I don't think they'd bring it back. I don't think Vince McMahon would bring back a WCW creation. Unless maybe they rename it or something. I don't know, but I don't think they're bringing back Battleground or War Games for Battleground like they should have in October of last year. But that being said, though, I think it should last until Payback. I don't think it needs to go on any longer than that. You give Evolution their win at Payback, and if you go on until Money in the Bank, the Shield goes over. Putting over the Shield, I think the Shield should go over in this feud because I don't think this will be the end of the feud. I think Triple H will feud with Roman Reigns going into the summer. So maybe they have Triple H get the pin on Reigns in that matchup, and then you move into that feud. So if that's the end of the feud, I'd be fine with that. But in a perfect world, I'd have the Shield go over again, further put them over. But if they lose, because they just beat Evolution at Extreme Rules. So either way, I'm loving the feud. I'm perfectly fine with it going on until Payback. And if it goes on to Money in the Bank, then so be it. His next question was, after his rivalry with Bray Wyatt is over, who do you think that John Cena should feud with? Good question. I was thinking about this a couple weeks ago as well. There's just not much for John Cena to do right now. One feud that comes to mind that he hasn't done yet that feels fresh, the matches would be great, versus Cesaro. I think it would be tremendous for the summer feud. Have him, go for a few pay-per-views during the summer. Whether Cesaro would beat John Cena is another question. That's another rant for another day because I don't think he would. But the matches would be great. Cesaro wasn't doing much right now aside from feuding with Rob Van Dam. So when that feud's over, hopefully Bray Wyatt Cena is over as well. And then you can move on to Cesaro versus Cena for the summer. That's just my booking. At Buckley000, his question was, what's your opinion on NXT's two newest stars, Alexa Bliss and Kalisto? So I saw them on NXT last week. Both are tremendous. Alexa Bliss, I am biased towards. I have a huge crush on Alexa Bliss, to be quite honest with you. She's great. I didn't think she was all that great in the ring to begin with. Like, even before the match started, I'm thinking, okay, she might not be all that great in the ring, but she thoroughly impressed me. Because from what I heard, she was not all that good, but she thoroughly impressed me in her debut. Credit to Alicia Fox for putting her over and having a good match there on NXT. It's always the rookies that have better matches than the main roster divas, which is weird. But, though not surprising, that's been the case for a while now. But Alexa Bliss, I really like. She could be a future star in the women's division. She's really, really good. Very beautiful as well. And Kalisto, I also am a huge fan of him now, seeing him work for the first time last week in NXT. The star of that tag team matchup could be very much, I think I got a question on this either last week or the week before on Kalisto, being the next Lucha Libre star in WWE. Definitely think so, because Sin Cara never got any developmental time. He never got any time in FCW to hone his craft, learn fucking English before he got to the main roster. So Kalisto, I would assume, knows English. So by the time they call him up, he should be good. So I could definitely see him being a big star in WWE as one of their Lucha Libre guys if they book him right. But loved his work in NXT along with Alexa Bliss. Both very glad we got fresh faces on NXT finally. At Tony Kegger, his question was, what match type do you think we will see for the Shield Evolution feud or match at Payback? Either elimination, no holds barred. I don't know if they would go with elimination. I guess I'd go with elimination. I don't think they should do steel cage. That'd be stupid. War Games is not happening, so people should just get that thought out of their head right now. I'd probably go with elimination. I mean, no holds barred would be cool too, and I could probably see that happening. Falls Count Anywhere would be pretty cool, but yeah, I'd go with no holds barred, I guess. Elimination would be good, but it'd probably come down to Triple H and Roman Reigns. It'd be extremely predictable. So I'd probably go with either no holds barred or Falls Count Anywhere. I think because like we saw at Extreme Rules, they can go anywhere around the arena and have a great matchup. So I would go with that. Or even Tornado, I think would be terrific too. Have them give them that freedom that they don't really have to be in the ring to make the pinfall or whatever. They can go all around the arena like they did Extreme Rules. Next question comes from at Ranshite. Again, I apologize if I mispronounced that, but your question was, what are your comments on the Shield Evolution rivalry? I kind of already said this before, but loving the rivalry. I think it's putting the Shield over in a big way. They went over at Extreme Rules. They've had a number of very good matches. Seth Rollins and Batista had a great match over on SmackDown a couple of days ago as of this recording. The feud itself was a dream feud dating back to February of 2013 for me. I mean, I said back after they beat Cena, Sheamus, and Ryback at Elimination Chamber, I said, Shield, hands down, is the best stable since Evolution. I still believe that to this day. To have this feud happen is just mind-boggling. I just still coming to believe it all. I mean, it's really hard to believe that we're even getting this feud right now. It's a dream feud, great matches, great feud, loving it. Best feud of the year so far, in my opinion. In the last, it's only been 5 months now, but so far, best feud of the year. It's been terrific. Matches are great. Feud is great. Putting up the Shield in a big way. It's a win-win-win situation. At CJ Blaze 24, his question was, are you against the U.S. and Intercontinental titles unifying, or would you like it? You asked me that about 2 years ago. I probably would have said no, keep them separate. Same with the world titles. I've always been against the world titles being unified, but towards the end, the world title didn't mean jack shit. And here's the thing with title unifications, okay? You can have more championships. You can have a U.S. title, you can have a world title, WWE, IC, ECW, whatever the fuck you want. But if they don't mean anything, then what's the fucking point? the reason, I mean, titles are all props. This is pro wrestling. Let's get that straight. But I mean, the whole purpose is for the superstar to get over the title, not the title to get over the superstar. And if they don't mean anything, then what's the point of having a championship? Just give everyone a fucking title. That's the case. You know what I mean? If they're not going to mean anything, you might as well give a championship to everyone. Give someone a TV, give it a cruiserweight, give it a hardcore, European. Just bring them all back. Give everyone a championship because they don't mean anything anyway. So that being said, I don't think we need more titles. For one thing, right now we don't need more championships. If they did the matchup between Sheamus and Barrett for the unification of both championships, I'd be completely content with that. If only because the U.S. title hasn't meant anything in a long time. And if they're not going to do anything with it in the foreseeable future, it's finally starting to mean something again with Sheamus. And I love all the champions right now, because every champion that we have, from Daniel Bryan to the Usos to Paige to Barrett to Sheamus, every one of them can bring credibility back to the title that they're holding right now. So that being said, I think it'd be fine. I'd be completely fine with the titles being unified at either, not Payback, maybe SummerSlam. I think between Barrett and Sheamus, because both guys are credible and they could have a great matchup. It would mean something. It'd be better than seeing Big E versus Dean Ambrose, that's for sure. Two of the weakest champions in recent memory. But that being said, though, I could definitely see both championships being unified in the foreseeable future, because neither title means anything at the fucking moment, so it wouldn't matter anyway. But the more superstars that you have, the more championships you will probably need. But that being said, I don't think you need more championships, because even though the roster is large and we need more titles, if they're not going to mean anything, then there's no point. So going back to your original question, I'd be fine with it. But if they make the U.S. title mean something, then I don't think it's necessary to unify them right now, because right now I think it's doing fine. But if it starts to mean shit again, then unify them, get rid of it, because you don't need it. With the World Championships, I mean, if the roster is big enough again that we can use 2 world titles, then I'd be completely content with having 2 world champions again. But again, if it's not going to mean anything, and you're still going to treat them like bullshit, then there's really no point in having 2 world championships or 2 mid-card titles for the sake of just having titles. Because if it's not going to be, if the mid-card titles, the whole purpose of them is to build up to, being a world champion. But having 2 world titles, and if one's not going to mean, or 2 mid-card titles and one's not going to mean anything, then there's no point. So I'd be fine with the titles being unified, especially if it's Barrett versus Sheamus. It could be a great match, great feud, a great way to make the titles mean something again. The final question, after all this time, I apologize for taking to 40 minutes, holy shit. Final question comes from @ChurnsAwesome94. The question was, what was the better WrestleMania trilogy of matches, the Triple H versus Undertaker series or the Rock versus Stone Cold series? Great question, great way to end all the questions here today. Great question, though. Triple H versus Undertaker, the matches were very good. 17 was awesome. 27, a lot of people love that matchup. I didn't really like that match, to be honest with you. Maybe I'm in the minority on that one. I thought it was rather boring. It was a very good matchup, but I don't think it was the best of 2011 or whatever. It was a very good matchup and definitely probably looked fondly upon, because WrestleMania 27 sucked. So that being said, the better series of matches would have to be The Rock versus Stone Cold, because they actually acknowledge all 3 matches. In the case of Triple H versus Undertaker, they don't acknowledge the first one at WrestleMania 17 at all. They only acknowledged 27 and 28 because they didn't want, I don't know, because Triple H was different back then because he lost. I don't fucking know. But either way, I think Rock versus Stone Cold was the bigger feud, one of the best feuds of all time, of course. So I think that's probably the better WrestleMania series, because they also had very good matches too. Just as good, if not better, matches than Triple H and Undertaker did at WrestleMania. So I'd have to go with The Rock and Stone Cold on that one. So after nearly 40 fucking minutes, thanks, guys, for sitting. If you made it through all the end of the way of this video, I commend you. I mean, you're great. I appreciate it. I appreciate everyone that sends in the questions, that watches these videos, that subscribes, leaves comments, likes the videos, everything. I appreciate you all. It really does mean a lot to me. For you guys to send in all of these questions. Now, I'm not complaining either. There was a lot of great questions here today, so thank you for sending in. Always means a lot to me. If you want to send in a question, make sure you like me on Facebook @GrahamGSMMatthews. Leave a comment on the wall. You can tweet me on Twitter with the hashtag AskGSM over @WrestleRant, or even leave a comment down below and I'll include it in next week's video. Like I said before, make sure to subscribe, like, leave a comment. Great stuff. Always appreciate it. Have a great week. I'll be back next week with more hashtag AskGSM and more videos in general. So thanks for watching, guys. This is GSM signing out. Till next week, guys.